Hey guys, Aries Comics here. I just want to make a quick video about the Witcher trailer that just dropped today from Netflix. So, full disclosure guys, I read all the books and played the game, so I kind of know what I'm talking about. But what I want to do in this video is just gonna go through the trailer with you guys, kind of stop at some moments and explain to you some of the backstory that's happening in this series that I believe is not gonna be explored fully in the first season. So without further ado, let's just get it started.
I've heard tales of your kind, Witcher.
So this first battle between Geralt and some Nilfgaardian soldiers is during the invasion of Sintra. So Geralt has this destiny connections that I'm gonna explain a bit later in the trailer, and he refuses that destiny connection because he doesn't believe in it, and even if he did, he didn't really want to get involved in it. And so at some point he refuses that his destiny, but evidence starts piling up. He begins to believe it, and then he goes to Sintra to get Ciri. But during this time, Nilfgaard invades, so Geralt kind of arrives during that, and at this point he's gonna miss Ciri because she's gonna escape through some other part of town, but most people in this world believe Ciri dead at this point. So Ciri has the Elder Blood, which is very hard to explain because it's pretty hard to understand from the books, the whole aspect of it. But what's important to know about it, and sufficient to know about it, is that it gives the one who possesses it the ability to have great magical potential. The downside of that is that, for example, Ciri doesn't know how to control it because she had no magical training. Yennefer gives her some magical training, but it's not the formal kind that Yennefer herself received, and so she will go with Ciri and enroll her at this school, which is called Aretuza, and that's what this school is about, basically training people in the magical arts to become sorcerers or sorceress.
You're a mutant. Created by magic. Roaming the continent.
We don't want your kind here.
Hunting monsters. For a price.
So, a couple of things. Witches are not really made by magic. They're made by like this combination of potions and training, and they undergo some mutations which kind of give them these superpowers like enhanced strength, agility, enhanced senses. They have some magical ability, but they don't compare. Like, they're basically party tricks compared to like a real sorcerer's magical abilities.
Thought you'd have fangs or horns or something.
I had them filed down.
I don't know what's happening with the orgy behind, but what I kind of need to say for all the people who played the games and didn't read the books don't really have Geralt kill that many monsters. He kind of does that in the short stories, some of which are gonna be shown in this trailer, and they're gonna be shown on screen during the first season, possibly the later seasons. But he doesn't really kill that many monsters in the main series.
People call you a monster too.
So this character we see here, she's an assassin, and the people we saw before throwing stones at Geralt, they're the inhabitants of a town called Blaviken. And in this town, there's this tower which houses this wizard, and he's quite powerful, and he did a lot of bad stuff. So he kind of hires Geralt as his bodyguard, and Geralt finds out there's this assassin sent after him, and they do have good reasons to kill him. And this is their leader. I forget her name in the books. It doesn't really matter because Geralt arrives and tries to calm all the parties down. So the assassins come to the tower. Geralt tries to talk everyone down, and they try to convince him to either like join them, or just let him go through. Geralt is no, I cannot do that. and he basically kills all of them very quickly and very gruesomely. So that's how he got the Butcher of Blaviken nickname, because he butchered a bunch of people in the town of Blaviken, basically.
Why not kill them?
Because then I am what they say I am.
All of our choices.
So I just want to quickly point out Yennefer's star right here. So Yennefer is known for three things, which is basically her purple eyes, her fur coat, which is white and black, and her star. And I believe in the books her star kind of like holds some magical energy, which allows her to be even more powerful when she accesses it.
Draw.
And I believe here they show the last story from the book of short stories called The Last Wish, and the story has the same name, which deals with this genie which kind of wreaks havoc over town, and you know, a bunch of hijinks happen, but Geralt figures out that the last wish there's the last wish of the genie that nobody wished for. So he figures all of this out during, you know, the genie basically destroying the town, and he wishes for him to be together with Yennefer forever. We don't really know what he actually says, but we hear Yennefer's reaction to it, and it's basically, are you sure? Because you basically intertwined our destinies forever, something along those lines. And it's a point and a theme of their relationship. Are they actually drawn together because of this feelings they have for each other, or is it because of the wish, basically?
Destiny's closer.
If he is out there, there is still hope.
So this is the forest of Brokilon. In the books, Brokilon is inhabited by dryads, and in the show it seems like that too. So dryads are kind of similar to poison ivy. That's the closest comparison I can find, except they don't control plants or stuff like that. But what they do is they're kind of like plant and humans together, fused together in a way. They undergo like mutagenic processes, because sometimes they adopt or actually kidnap young girls. In this case, Ciri wanders there, so they kind of adopt her and try to make her one of the dryads. Sometimes they just let a man in, and he has sex with all of the dryads, and then they kick him out so they can reproduce. But it's basically an all-female society. And what I'm pissed about is that they have spears in this version, and in the books they have arrows, and they're very, very proficient with the arrows. And basically there's a couple of, they have like very set boundaries, so when you actually go even a foot in their territory, they're just gonna shoot you down. Geralt is sort of friends with the queen, whose name I can't remember. So he's kind of accepted there, but he's not like fully embraced. They're not like best friends. So he goes there to kind of get Ciri, fulfill his destiny, and he has a confrontation with the queen. They don't actually fight or anything. It's more of a philosophical thing, and she does some you know, magical tests, I guess, and she then lets them leave together.
Have to find Geralt of Rivia.
So this is the point I want to talk about Ciri's parents. So Queen Calanthe, Ciri's grandmother, has a daughter called Pavetta, and she has this party for her where she's supposed to find someone to marry. Geralt is there as a bodyguard. You kind of get forced into it because you don't really refuse Queen Calanthe. Like, she'll convince you, like she'll go more forcefully and kind of paint a better picture of what happens when you refuse her, until you accept, and you kind of have to. And there's a guy whose name is Dunny, and he comes and he has like a curse placed upon him, which has his head look like a hedgehog, something like that. And then at some point, like, some fighting breaks out, which is what we're seeing here, and Pavetta's powers manifest. She has the same elder blood as Ciri does, and basically she like sends a wave everywhere and kind of like knocks everyone off and kind of like calms the spirits down. And Geralt asks for his payment to be something that Calante did not expect, which is the law of surprise. So the law of surprise is basically what I said. Normally, like the Witcher would get hired, for example, by a merchant, and they'd be in the woods. The merchant couldn't really pay Geralt for or the Witcher for with anything because he got robbed or something, so he's alone in the forest and there's monsters there. Witcher invokes the law of surprise, which is you kind of give the Witcher what you didn't expect to find when you get back home, and that sometimes leads to there being a kid, and when that happens, the Witcher kind of gets that kid after his 7th or 8th birthday and raises him to be a Witcher. And this is what Geralt basically does here, except when he comes back, Queen Calante doesn't want to hear anything about it. He's like, you're not gonna take the child, you're not gonna raise her as a Witcher. She's a girl also. And Geralt kind of presses her on a bit, but not because he really wants a ward. He doesn't really want to raise a Witcher. In this world, there isn't much need for Witchers anymore because most of the monsters have been destroyed. Their habitat has been destroyed by human civilization. So there isn't many monsters left. There's still enough for Witchers to exist and have a reason to be and find work. But compared to when Geralt started, things have gone downhill. From one perspective, from the other, it's better that people don't get mauled by monsters all the time. So he invokes the law of surprise. Calante refuses. Geralt kind of presses her on a bit, but isn't really keen on it, so he just kind of leaves. And this is where Ciri's destiny gets intertwined with Geralt's, and then he goes, after some time passes and he gets some evidence piled up in his life, Nilfgaard invades Sintra and he goes to find Ciri at the same time.
Don't judge me.
They say witches can't feel human emotion. What do you believe in?
Evil is evil. Lesser. Greater. Middling.
So, this character on the left, he's called Cahir. He's a Nilfgaardian soldier, but he doesn't really believe in all of that Nilfgaard stands for. Nilfgaard is sort of this Roman Empire stand-in, and everyone's supposed to give their best for the state and for the emperor. And he kind of falls in love with Ciri and wants to protect her and stuff like that. But Ciri doesn't know that. And all she knows is that men dressed like him in black and having a helmet with wings destroyed her and invaded her home country. And she just knows to run from them and she has nightmares about it. But it ends up being that Cahir is basically one of the good guys instead of the villain. Kind of the first half of the book makes him to be. Is Sintra burning?
It's all the same.
So this is Geralt fighting the assassin in Blaviken.
Princess Cirilla is your destiny.
So this is another important point in the book. So wait, I can't make it. So this guy is called Vilgefortz. He's like this prodigy magician. He's very respected in the community. Basically, the whole sorcerers and sorceresses look up to him. He's very ambitious. He's very charismatic. I mean, all of them are beautiful because they alter their appearances by magic, and he's a very smart guy, and he's gonna play some important role. But what happens here is this organization called Squirrels, which are basically disgruntled elves, attack it, and it's actually a front, but we're not gonna go on that. So the elves here are basically treated as less than human. They're not treated equally. There's often programs against non-humans, which are basically elves and dwarves. So they have this kind of terrorist organization called Squirrels, which kind of wants to right the wrongs against it.
I can't protect her. If you dismiss it, Geralt! You will unleash.
So this is another important part of the trailer. I believe this is the Battle of Soden during the Third Nilfgaardian War. This is a very like almost every character references this battle at some point. That it's that important to the lore. So besides Sintra, there's a bunch of other kingdoms of varying, you know, sizes, and they have different power levels, and they all band together to defeat the invasion of Nilfgaard. And kind of like throughout the history, Nilfgaard has kind of chipped a few kingdoms here and there at various points, and this is where they kind of make a standing and send them back, which is kind of a surprise because the Nilfgaardians have a better drilled army, and they're like one cohesive unit rather than different, you know, kingdoms with different, you know, command lines and all of that. But the sorceresses help the northern kingdoms a lot. Among them, Yennefer, Triss Merigold, Sabina Gilvestig, I think. All of the important major sorceresses and sorceresses are here, and that's kind of what turns the tide around for the northern kingdoms. So by looking at it, I think the northern kingdoms are the ones on the right because they don't have the yellow sun on the flag, which is the symbol of Nilfgaard.
Full calamity upon us all. I'll take that chance.
So I really like how the runes go around and reveal the title. I thought that was very cool, and I'm kind of excited for the series, to be honest. It comes out on the 20th of December. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Please comment with any other suggestion you might have. If you have any theories about what's gonna happen, what they're gonna take from the books, what they're gonna change from the books, what they're gonna take from the games, and how they're gonna implement this in a cohesive series, just leave comments. I want to engage in this kind of discussions with other Witcher fans. I hope I didn't spoil too much about the series for you guys. Leave a comment if I did, so I know when the season finishes I don't do that. And please subscribe for similar content. Thanks. See you next time. Bye.